Pascal spinning. Look at the job to create space. Put it in the book and send that young man to the line. Boy, is he fun to watch. .351. Tony Allen slapped away by Corley Stein to the floor. He dives. What an effort! Collison, the lob. Oh, beautiful basketball by the King. Richardson changing directions and getting to the basket and scoring. How about the rookie Malachi Richardson?
You're now listening to the King's Court on Dash Radio, presented by SacKingsNation.com. Here are your hosts, Vince Miracle and Joe Morgan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Court Podcast. I'm your host, Vince. Debut, Bryant, west of Sacktown Royalty. Bryant, how you doing?
I'm doing full, Vince. Thanks for having me on.
Hey,
it's the time of year to smart people about hoops.
Yeah, hey, I definitely appreciate it because I've been wanting to talk Kings draft pick with somebody for a little while now, probably the last 2 weeks. Just all the rumblings of who the Kings should pick, a trade room time, and I reached out to Tony because I've had Tony Zipteris, a fellow colleague of yours on Royalty, and I was like, let me reach out to him, and he said, no, you need to go to our go-to for draft. And he mentioned your name. He's mentioned it before too, and I was like, I don't know. Funny enough though, we actually follow each other already, so it was easy to message you. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is how long have we been doing the lottery now? 10 years, 11 years.
Too long.
And it's going to be the quickest pick.
That's
just have to hope the Kings make this one right.
That's the crazy thing. This is the first time in franchise history that the Kings have held the number 2 pick, and after everything that I'm hearing about it and everything that you read about this team, I'm not 100% sure that the Kings are expecting to be here at holding the number 2 pick heading in. I really don't think, because I feel like they're a puppy and have too many toys in front of them, and they don't know which one to play with. I think they're really confused on what they want to do. Brian, I'm going to ask you, if you were in that front office right now, who is the player number 1 on
Luka Doncic? And he's been top of my board since beginning of the college basketball season, and nothing that happened made me doubt that selection that hard. I mean, DeAndre Ayton's an absolute physical beast season at Duke, but to me, Luka Doncic is the most safe player for the Kings to take. He's going to be a high-level contributor. The last couple of years, the most valuable thing that you can have in an offense nowadays is a playmaking wing that can keep the ball moving, dribble when needed, control the ball when needed, and make them. I think that's what Doncic is. Yeah,
for me, I have Doncic as my number 1 as well. I think everything that you just said is why he's just that safe pick at number 2, and he's the reason why everyone keeps saying that they don't know if he can mesh well with the De'Aaron Fox, but I had Austin Green from Los Crossovers come on and say the complete opposite of that, and he's been watching this guy since he was 16 and since he started playing with Real Madrid. So I love the way he's passing the basketball. I love that you can see, he's a person that can push the pace, but he never seems to be in a rush. And I think that's one thing I absolutely love about his game is that he knows where he wants to be on the floor and he just gets there. And he doesn't ever seem rushed. He just seems always poised on the court. Who do you have at number 2? Because for me personally, I have Michael Porter Jr. And although all of these reports saying that the injury, the hip, the back, what are the medical reports like? It's a bit concerning. But if he's the guy, I'd actually be okay if the Kings pick him at number 2 because I personally am just so high on him. Do you agree, or who's your number 2 on your big board?
Well, number 2 for me would be DeAndre Ayton, just because I trust his physical tools the most of any player in this class. He produced at such a high level in a pretty difficult circumstance, played out of position, kind of. I'm really sure he's going to be a 20-10 guy on offense. I'm less convinced about his defensive transition, but it's hard for me to take anybody else besides Luka Doncic over him, just because I feel he's such a safe player on one end of the court. But I don't vehemently disagree with you on Michael Porter Jr.'s ceiling being very high. He's definitely one of the greater risk-reward picks in the last couple of years, and if his allure as a 3-level scorer is too much for Sacramento to pass up on, he's got the argument that he may be as good a fit for this roster as Luka Doncic is, and he's certainly got more physical tools. But I think the best way I heard it described was by Chris Vernon on the Ringers Draft Class pod. And he was talking from a Memphis Grizzlies fan perspective. He said, I'll forgive them if they pass on Porter and he's a star. I won't forgive them if they take him and he's a hurt bust. Because Sacramento cannot afford to let this pick end up a bust, whether it's a medical bust, whether it's a skill bust. The Kings have waited 11 years in the lottery to get a top pick. And this is a class of such high-end talent. I think this class is 1 through 5, probably the deepest in the last couple of years. They can't get this wrong. And I think Porter is just he's so risky that I don't know that he'd be my selection. I hope that the NBA gets the best of Michael Porter Jr. because he's that kind of scoring star that the league feeds on. But if I'm Sacramento, I'm taking Luka Doncic over him because I think Doncic has comparable ceiling and is entirely safe compared to what Porter is right now.
I mean, you said Ayton is number 2 on your big board. Ayton was number 1 for me, but I'm going with the assumption that he's going number 1. I think that's the only reason why I had Michael Porter Jr. as my number 2. And for me, like with Michael Porter Jr., I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that the Kings really can't mess up this pick. I mean, this is a very important pick, and why taking Michael Porter Jr. at 2 is a big risky, and that's why I wrote that article that Michael Porter Jr. is the right pick, just not at number 2. My thing is that this offseason, and it starts with this draft on Thursday, will set the trajectory for the Kings' future. Like, this is the thing that sets it all up. Because now you've got Bogdanovich, you got De'Aaron Fox, you got Buddy Hield, you got the young guys that you want. Now you have to start building something. And I think they start building something by picking the right players. I think Doncic could be that guy. I think Michael Porter Jr. has the potential to be that guy. The thing that's scary about it is, of course, the injuries. The ball handling ability is such a big question mark. And the only thing we've actually seen of him is high school film, because the college games that he played, for one, I take it with a grain of salt, and for two, he didn't look good at all. And
I agree. You can't consider those 3 games worth anything, and it's harder to judge somebody based on high school tape. Even when he certainly had plenty of big games. The under 18 squad, Nike Hoop Summit. He played big games against big talent. But I agree with you. There's certainly a lot more risk, even when you're not factoring the injury, just because we've seen less of him against the top-tier talent. Doncic has been doing this for 3 years against the best talent he could play against. Marvin Bagley played in one of the tougher conferences in college basketball. We didn't get to see that out of Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, with this Kings pick too, and with there being so much noise around the name Michael Porter Jr. and connected with the Kings, with trade rumors also starting to pick up, would you go over or under 40% chance the Kings trade this pick?
I would say under. I think they have probably narrowed it down to Luka, Michael Porter, or Marvin Bagley. And I think that this front, I think one of the reasons that we're not hearing Jaren Jackson Jr. and Mo Bamba's names in the mix is because they're looking for an alpha scorer. I think that's what they've narrowed it down to as the thing they have to get out of having a top 2 pick is an alpha scorer. And unless that alpha scorer comes in a trade, I think they're just going to take whichever one of these 3 young guys they're most comfortable with, and they're going to try to figure it out from there.
You said Luka.
That would be my best.
You said Luka Doncic, but I'm gonna play this. I don't know how great the audio will be after playing it, just because recording sometimes can lead to this stuff. But I'm gonna play the recording from Zach Lowe's podcast earlier today when he had Draft Express's Jonathan Giovanni on. I think I pronounced the last name right. Here we go.
Yeah.
If he's too emotional, he's not this, he's not that.
If they take him,
it'd be amazing. Yeah.
the best thing would be like Adam Silver says with the number 1 pick, the Phoenix Suns take DeAndre Ayton, and then like 45 seconds later, he's already coming back out, and it's like the Sacramento Kings take Luka Doncic. It would be the greatest troll job ever because they have fooled everyone. And no one thinks they're like, oh, Vlade really doesn't like him. Like Vlade knows some stuff. I don't know what it is.
Sure. Yeah.
Not going to happen.
I would be surprised if they took
Man,
Luka.
it would be the best.
I don't even know, if,
I would be surprised if the Kings took Luka Doncic.
Yeah. You know what? Some of that just could be if I agree that if you are expecting them to take Luka, you're putting a ton on Vladdy's shoulders to be pulling off a legendary smokescreen, because writers who have been way more connected to this franchise than Giovanni has been are saying the same kind of thing that he's saying. So it's not just him. Sam Amick said the same thing this morning. So I don't know that I can predict that they will take Luka Doncic, but the only reason you'd have for optimism there, if that's who you want them to take, is if you really think he's that far and away the second best player in this class. And that's what I would hope. I would hope the Kings would see the ideal modern NBA wing in him and select him. But I agree at this point, I would be surprised.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand what they wouldn't necessarily like about him at number 2. Like, what more does he have to do? In the second best league in the world, this guy is the EuroLeague MVP. He's carried his team, I believe, to 2 championships just within the last couple months, and he's still not worthy of it. And now I get the defensive struggles are a question mark. How he translates to the NBA game. I mean, I don't really see that as a question, but I do see like how he's a little bit of that tweener at 6'8" now. But I mean, in your personal opinion, Bryant, why does it seem like everyone is starting to downplay how good Luka Doncic actually is?
Well, I think half of it is that a player so publicized has to be made polarized. And when you start down the road of athleticism questions, it's going to get a little overblown. Now, I'm not saying that teams are doing this. A lot of that could be smokescreen, from teams just saying, oh, yeah, he's not athletic. And then that just feeds into the narrative because they kind of want him to fall. But, you know what, if there is a concern about him at this level, it is that transition. He's going to have to be quicker than he already is in terms of making the decisions that he's making that are correct right now. He's going to have to do them quicker against NBA defenders. His shot's going to have to be more consistent than it was. He's going to have to be a smarter defender. It's not a lock that he comes in and becomes a 20 guy in the next 2 years. That said, he is still safer to me than the injury risk that you get with Michael Porter Jr. and the positional concerns that I have about Marvin Bagley. I can't say anything more negative about Luka Doncic because I trust in him a lot. I think he's the best player in this class.
I completely agree. I have Luka Doncic number 1. I mean, the only person I would take over him right now is DeAndre Ayton. There's a reason why the reason why I like DeAndre Ayton is purely because I can see what he's going to be. You can just see by his frame, his athleticism, the potential. Like, you see everything that's there. With Luka Doncic, it's the same exact thing, but at 6'8". And at 6'8" in the NBA level and with how the game has changed, I don't know where he actually fits with that lateral speed that he has. Like, that lateral foot speed is not good. I don't know if he's going to be guarding 2s or if he's going to be guarding 3s, if he's occasionally going to be able to step down and hold his own against a 4 at 6'8". But the talent is undeniable. The way he can control a game, both off the ball and on the ball, is incredible. So, I mean, like you said, there's not much negativity that you can say about a guy like Luka Doncic. But you brought up a different name, and that's Marvin Bagley III. And I've been getting a little bit of hate for this, but I am a strong advocate of do not draft Marvin Bagley at 2. What about you?
Of the three names that we've talked about so far in the Kings field, being Doncic, Porter, and Marvin Bagley, I think I would have Bagley last, only because if you're going to go and swing for the fences, I would rather take the positional fit with Michael Porter, because I think that Marvin Bagley is going to take more specific players next to him in order to find his niche on both ends of the court. I'm worried about him defensively because he wasn't great guarding in space, which he needs to be if he's going to be a 4, and he's not a rim protector, which he needs to be if he's going to be a rim protector. And on offense, I think he's definitely shown flashes of all three things that you'd want in a big man of his speed and caliber, which is, solid post-up game, developing ability to attack the basket with the ball in his hand, and shot. But I'm not convinced that any one of those three skills are going to be immediate, here's what I can do in the NBA type skills.
Yeah, he reminds me of a more aggressive Scala BCR. Like, that's what Scal now, but more aggressive. Someone that's gonna just seem like he won't be as lost. But here's another thing that he's not good at either. And you brought up about being good at or bad at defense in space, but he's also not good at defense in the pick and roll if he gets put on the switch. That's a huge problem. If he can't even guard positionally, he's not going to be able to guard 4s. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to keep up a guy like Draymond. There's no way he has the lateral quick. I mean, no one does to keep up with like a guy like Kevin Durant. What 4 is he able to defend? Because I don't even think there's a chance he's going to be able to stop a guy like Porzingis or an Anthony Davis. So positionally, it's too much of a question mark. His 3-point shot is still a question mark because even though he made them in college, he didn't take that many. And I just think as much concern as everybody has, like you said, of Michael Porter Jr., my concerns of Marvin Bagley are much higher. The comparison I've made with him is just so Kings fans would relate to what I'm like the pieces that I'm talking about. Was he reminds me of a mix of Thomas Robinson and Derek Williams in their college days. Like, of course, there's potential there, but I don't know what that upside is.
Yeah, I've heard those ones as well. My only thing for that would be, I think that Marvin Bagley cares a lot more than those guys and Scal. He plays with the fire that just makes him infectious to watch. And that's why I have some optimism in him figuring out those defensive issues, because I agree that's his biggest problem in the NBA is fitting in defensively. But I'm also a little higher on his tools than you are. I think he's got the best second jump I've ever seen. And while he doesn't have great length and that hampers his ability as a rim protector, I think that if he ever develops a mental awareness defensively, he can be a wrecking ball. I don't know that he'd ever be, a plus 2 DPM kind of guy, but I think he can definitely be competent. I trust that his issues right now are technical and not motivational, which if you buy into his work ethic, you buy into him as a player. But I agree with you. I think that his versatility concerns to me are bigger than the on-court concerns I have for Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely pros with Bagley. I understand why people are in love with this guy. I mean, the effort that he brings. I mean, this guy's a genius. I believe that he wasn't even supposed to be in college this year. I think he still had his senior year, but he actually just went to college or something like that. I was told that.
Yeah, it's key to note that he's not younger because of that. He was a year behind everybody in high school, so technically he just caught up to his age group. He's the same age as everybody else, pretty much.
All I'm saying is this guy's smart, and he works to get where he needs to be.
Absolutely, that's not a question.
And that's something that, then of course, that's something that you gotta love about him. This is another big concern for me. It isn't necessarily with him. It's also with the front office and them, putting their pride on this pick. And what I mean by that is, the only top tier name that has come to Sacramento to work out for them has been Marvin Bagley III. And I do not want that to cloud their judgment. and I feel like it's going to. And that's another big concern for me. I don't like that. You know what I mean?
I remember when Vladdy made such a big deal about Willie Cauley-Stein coming to work out.
And who was the pick?
And Moutier didn't, and that was a big, well, why didn't you take Moutier? Well, because he didn't come.
I mean, hindsight's 2020. I mean, I'd rather have Willie Cauley-Stein than Moutier.
I'd so much rather have Willie. It's not even close. There are so many different avenues that Sacramento and the front office's egos and work, so many different avenues that their motivation could go. Would Vlade really pass on the best local product that his country has ever made? No, I don't know. Michael Porter Jr. has obviously been somebody that they've been looking at for a really long time. They probably have a lot invested in him. And Marvin Bagley came and worked out, and he said he wants to be the number 2 pick. So each one of them has off-court reasons why you think the Kings might take them.
Moving on from them, because I feel like after those, I guess 3 with Bagley, Luka Doncic, and kind of just Ayton, if that ever happens.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that guy? Who's that sleeper guy that no one's talking about, but it could? You should kind of look at him because he's that sleeper guy that if let's say the Kings trade down, or let's say the Kings are really high on someone, and they're just keeping their lips shut. Who's that guy for you?
For me, that's Jaren Jackson Jr. He's 3rd on my big board. I've got him over both Michael Porter and Marvin Bagley. I believe in everything that he can do on both ends of the court. He's got the tools, the effort level, and the skills to be an ideal modern NBA big man. I love his shooting ability. He's the best defensive prospect in this class to me. He's a better shot blocker than Mo Bamba. And I don't think that he'll ever be an alpha scorer, which is why I think Sacramento's not talking about him. Because at Michigan State, he was hampered by... he didn't try to assert himself offensively. So I can't pretend like this is all coaching, but I do think he was held back by the box that Tom Izzo put him in. I think 2-3 years down the road, if he's put with a smart coach who knows how to utilize him, I think he could be one of the 2 best players in this class, but I don't think Sacramento's taking a look at him.
I knew you were going to say Jaren Jackson Jr. So, and I told you that, and I told you this prior to the recording of this show that I'm going to come up with the name that's going to shock everybody when I say it. But I think Mo Bamba is going to be a sleeper guy. I think that, and this isn't going to be a pick at 2. I think that if the Kings trade down, which is going to be a big possibility heading into Thursday, I think Mo Bamba is going to be a guy that they're going to be looking at because this guy is a freak of nature, and the potential is there for someone like him. Like that 7'10" wingspan with his for arms and that was 7'3" in height. The muscle that he gained just heading into the NBA Combine. I mean, he
7'3".
7'3". I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. This guy is amazing. I'm fully on board the Bamba hype. I think he's gonna go to Dallas, but I'm fully on board the Bamba hype if the Kings find a way to trade down to get him.
Yeah, I think that some team will definitely take a gamble on him in the top 6 and think that they can unlock everything about him. But I think the reason why the Kings aren't looking at him is because he's the least proven offensive player in the top 10 to me. I know he's been doing a lot of work this draft process to improve his game and to make sure everybody knows that he's improving his offensive game. But he is... At least what he showed at Texas was an incredibly raw shooter and a raw post-up guy. And I don't think Sacramento has it in them to gamble so heavily on somebody who's just not a guaranteed prospect on offense.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, I'm going to ask Bryant a few trade scenarios and if he would accept or deny these trades. And guess what? I already know what you guys think. You guys think I'm crazy. So after this break, back with Bryant West.
Are you an avid DFS player? Maybe you're new to the fantasy world and you want help on the game. No matter your level, FanCaveDFS.com has all the information you need to get a leg up on the competition and start winning big money today. Become a premium member at FanCave DFS and gain exclusive access to pro charts, open forums between you and FanCave's pro writers, and so much more. Become a premium member now and let FanCaveDFS.com help make you a winner.
Hey friends, it's Joe Borelli from the Superflight NBA podcast here. If you're looking for some NBA news that's a little off the beaten path, you might want to check out the Superflight. I have great guests from around the league to talk about all the latest NBA topics. But if you're craving some art, music, and general existential nonsense as well, I got you covered there too. Check out the Superflight podcast on iTunes or anywhere you download your podcasts. Or go to ABPN and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. Now back to your show.
We're not live, so YouTube didn't work. I don't know if you noticed that.
No.
Yeah, YouTube didn't work. So that was the one thing.
It'll still be a good podcast.
Oh, for sure. So in 3. And we are back with Bryant West of Sacktown Royalty making his King's Court debut. And as promised, we have fake trades. Everyone loves fake trades. And they also love to hate on fake trades because so many people are invested in certain players. Like guys like Buddy Hield or guys like Bogdanovich or Willie Cauley-Stein. So many people are invested in these players. They have so much love for these guys, and they never want to give them up. You know what they want to give up? They want to give up Iman Shumpert for the first pick. That's the type of trade scenarios that I get in return after I put out these things, Brian, and I don't understand it. To get something good, you got to give it. And I think I have good trades here that are for both sides. So you're going to be the Kings, and I'm going to be a different team, or we're going to discuss like we're both of them, and you're going to tell me if you accept or deny this trade. Are you ready?
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right. The first trade I have up comes from the Chicago Bulls. All right, so the Chicago Bulls currently hold the number 7 pick in this year's draft. Now I'm pulling up the trade so I don't mess this up because I've written about it and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go if this trade happens. So let me pull this up exactly. So you're gonna be giving up Willie Cauley-Stein, and you're gonna be giving up the number 2 pick and Iman Shumpert, and in return, you'll get the number 7 pick. You'll get the Bulls 2019 first round pick, and you'll get Denzel Valentine. Is that enough for you? And this is the only reason why the Kings would do this trade is if on the board at 7 is Michael Porter Jr. So in put that into context. I'm not saying they're just doing this trade to do it, but you get basically Michael Porter Jr., Denzel Valentine, and a pick next year for Willie Cauley-Stein in the number 2. Is that too much for the Kings to give up, or would you accept that trade?
If I am of the mind that Michael Porter Jr. is absolutely my selection, then it's a no-brainer for me. Get a number 2019 pick, and I mean Denzel Valentine's probably an upgrade to Justin Jackson at this point. So yeah, if Michael Porter Jr. is my guy, absolutely. I, as Bryant West, would rather just take Luka Doncic, but I understand the allure of if you're locked in on Michael Porter. Hey, why wouldn't you get a 2019 pick? It's not like Chicago's going to be that good next year.
Right? I mean, everyone thinks that they're going to be because they're going to have, if they get this number 2 pick and it's Luka Doncic and, Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine and Bobby Portis and Willie Cauley-Stein. I mean, they could be good.
I think that's a 10-11 in the lottery. And then you're basically taking the guy that you want at 2 and getting the 11th pick next year. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's not bad. So, but let's look at on the flip side, just in case we get Bulls listeners on here, because this show is on Dash Radio. We're presented by BrickHouseIndustries.com. Everyone go to BrickHouseIndustries.com for all of your apparel from hat, shirts, and socks. And when checking out, be sure to use promo code KingsCourt to get a 10% discount on any of your purchases. But yeah, so we're on Dash Radio here. Sometimes we get Bulls fans that listen to this show. And on the Bulls side, do you think they would accept a deal like this, or am I too crazy?
Well, one of my best friends is a Bulls fan, and I can just imagine him shaking his head right now. Yeah, I don't think they would. Yeah. If I was Chicago, would I trade the number 7 pick, my solidly promising wing, and my first rounder next year for Luka Doncic? I think I might. I'm that high on Luka Doncic.
Even if they, I mean, I think Luka Doncic around Chris Dunn, or not even necessarily around Chris Dunn, but around Zach LaVine, if he is that future guy for them, I'm pretty high on Bobby Portis. I like him, but then you also have Lauri Markkanen. Like, to have a guy that can pass the ball the way that Doncic can on that roster, and the only thing you're really giving up is a Denzel Valentine, and he was actually starting to lose minutes to Nwaba, and you're high on Nwaba, and he's about to be up for a re-sign right now. I mean, to me, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, just because you get Doncic, you get a center in Willie Cauley-Stein that fits next to Markkanen, and you also have Zach LaVine that you're going to be re-signing. You have a passer that can pass to him, and you have Chris Dunn off the bench. I mean, it makes sense to me personally if I was the GM of the Bulls. But I'm also kind of crazy.
You just have to be really confident in all of the other young guys that they're going to take a step forward, or you're going to be giving up a higher pick than you probably expect.
My second fake trade, and this one comes as on the most recent news as of today, that the Kings are not going to be accepting the 12th and 13th pick from this team, but it is with the LA Clippers, and I'm giving up, and I'm the Clippers, Tobias Harris. I'm offering it. Tobias Harris, the 12th pick and the 13th pick for the number 2 pick, and Iman Shumpert.
Yeah, if I'm Sacramento, that's a no for me.
Really?
First off, the most valuable thing in the trade is Tobias Harris. I think he averaged 20 and 7 this year. I think that's the last thing I looked.
Let me go look that up right now.
Yeah, I think that was it. But to me, he's a second option kind of guy, which would be very valuable for the Kings to have. I mean, he might be a kind of guy you go and look to sign next year if you're Sacramento when you've got cap space.
19 and 6.
19 and 7?
19 and 6.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, solid second option guy, but the Kings got enough of those. They got to get their alpha score with this pick. And what really hurts it for me is I'm just not that confident in the depth of this class beyond pick 8 or so. I really like, who do I got at 12? I got Robert Williams at 12.
Robert Williams is good.
Oh, I like Robert Williams. I mean, if the Kings could get that kind of pick to go with whoever they add it to, I think Robert Williams would be fantastic for this team. But I'm not going to sacrifice Doncic or Michael Porter Jr. or Marvin Bagley for that. Well, I'd rather gamble on one of those guys being my alpha.
Let me ask it to you like this then, because I still think this trade's a good. I'm pretty high on Tobias Harris. I really like Tobias Harris. I should put an asterisk by that I really like Tobias Harris. What if I tell you that Robert Williams is on the board as well as Kevin Knox at 12?
Well, Kevin Knox wouldn't be my pick. I've got him at like 16.
Wow, I'm so high on Kevin Knox. I love Kevin Knox.
Yeah, I heard you talking about him on your last pod with James Ham. I'm kind of in the same camp that James is on Knox. He's kind of a conundrum. He's such a young player, and John Calipari hides skills. We all know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, his 1 year at Kentucky, he wasn't a dynamic shooter. I think he shot 34%. Yeah, 34% from 3, which is, I mean, fine. That's fine for a freshman, but that's not stellar. And aside from scoring, I watched a decent bunch of Kentucky because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was pretty fun to watch. But Knox just didn't ever give much else. Like, he tried on defense. He just wasn't great at it. He tried to get the rebounds, but he's not strong enough for it. I think he's, unlike Porter Jr., who I really think, if he bulks up, can be a true 3-4 combo. I'm not so sure that Kevin Knox is going to be the physical kind of guy who you need to bridge that 3-4 gap that Porter can, or that Tobias Harris can. So if I'm the Clippers, and I'm keeping Tobias Harris, I'm taking Robert Williams as my next DeAndre Jordan, and then probably taking Knox's teammate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as my point guard for the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's still guys like even like a Miles Bridges. I'm high on Miles Bridges.
Oh.
Lonnie Walker is another one. I mean, is that O because you're not a high? You're not a
No,
Miles.
I'm very high on Miles Bridges.
There's a good
I'm not as high as some people, but
I'm more high on Mikal Bridges than I am on Miles Bridges. But Miles Bridges has, he can. I think he fits the same mold that Mikal does, a 3-and-D guy. And I think he's just a more aggressive, offensive player. And if you're looking for that score, maybe that's the guy. Like, let's say Miles Bridges and Robert Williams are available. You get Tobias Harris. That's not a bad package.
Tobias Harris, Miles Bridges, and Robert Williams.
I'm gonna sell you on this trade.
It's tempting.
I'm gonna sell you on this trade. You're gonna say
no.
by the end of this thing's over.
The only reason I will say no to that is because that is the kind of package that you see a team trade for a star. That's the kind of deal that, if Minnesota decided to trade Jimmy or Jimmy Butler came out and demanded a trade, that's the kind of package they'd get. That's the kind of package you trade for a star. And if I'm the Kings, I would just rather gamble on the guy who could be the piece that takes me to the next step. Because I think the one thing this team has is depth of second, third, fourth options. What they don't have isn't what Tobias Harris brings.
I'm very interested to see what you're going to say about this next fake trade.
Well, can I say one more thing first?
Go ahead.
I agree with you on Mikal Bridges being over Miles Bridges. I'm a fan of what Miles Bridges brings. He's certainly the more physical player. But Mikal Bridges has been stupidly high on my board all year. He's going to end up 6th on my final big board. I love him going into the year, and when Philly takes him at 10, he's going to make he's going to be so good in Philly. It's not even going to be fair.
There's two places that I think where I think Mikal Bridges is going. The first place that I would probably bet my house on is he's going to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And the fact that Woj even brought him the ties, I didn't even know about that. His mom is one of the HR directors there. And just makes
that surprised me too.
I was like, oh, that is interesting. The other place I have him is just a spot before it, and I think he can go to New York at 9. And I think those are the. I don't think Cleveland's taking him at all. I think a lot of people are talking about him going there. I don't think it's happening. As of right now, NBADraft.net has Chicago taking him at 7. I don't see that happening at all.
No.
Because at 7, they want to get that center. They have Cleveland taking Wendell Carter. I would see Chicago taking Wendell Carter over Bridges right now, just because they want that center that can sit next to Lauri Markkanen. So I think he's going 9 or 10, and I would, if there was bets on that, I would take some, because I'm pretty confident that that's where he's going.
I think Miles Bridges is going to go 9, just because I love the. I agree that Mikal Bridges I think he's a better player. But Miles Bridges and Porzingis is just that's just nasty 4-5. That's just so much fun to think about.
I am gonna tell you this right now: if New York doesn't take Mikal Bridges, they're. I know a couple of the guys that cover the New York area, and I know a lot of New York Knicks fans. They're extremely high on Kevin Knox. Like he could be that guy. And I heard about his little private workout. I don't really buy into it, but of course it was amazing. So,
yeah.
But I'm ready to give you.
He seems like the kind of guy that New York would gamble on.
Yeah, he's just that. They need a scorer with Porzingis probably out until February. Just someone that can just dominate because of how young he is, and have as many attempts as he wants. Like that's probably going to be that guy that they're going to roll the dice on. But now I am ready to give you my third fake trade that everybody hated on me for on Twitter, and surprisingly you didn't see it. But I was called dumb. I was called crazy. I was called all these things. But guess what? I would still take this deal if I'm the Kings. And I don't care if everybody doesn't believe me. I like this deal. Are you ready?
Yep.
No. Asterisk by this one. This trade cannot happen until after the draft in a sign and trade deal. But here we go. It is with the Orlando Magic. I have Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, and the number 6 pick for the number 2 pick, Willie Cauley-Stein, Buddy Hield, and Iman Shumpert. Yes or no?
I love Aaron Gordon.
I love him.
I love Aaron Gordon. I love Vucevic.
People hate him. I got so much hate for that name. That's crazy.
I mean, I'm a little worried about the defensive pairing of those two.
I'm worried
just
about
because you're still without a rim protector, but that's a hell of a get. And if you are sold on Michael Porter. I mean, I think it's a little redundant with Aaron Gordon and him, but I mean,
that's a package, right?
Yeah. I think what stops it for me is just that I love Buddy Hield. I know that you can't make that deal without Buddy Hield.
You cannot make that deal without Buddy Hield.
You can't make that deal without Buddy Hield.
Yeah. What if I told you
if you rank the players in that trade in order, I would say that the number two is the most valuable. Yes. I would say Aaron Gordon is next.
Yes, and then Buddy Hield.
Yeah, and then the number 6.
And then Vucevic.
I don't know.
And then Cauley-Stein, and then Shumpert.
I think I would rather gamble on the 20% chance that, hey, Aaron Gordon, the Magic aren't going to re-sign you anyways.
No, he's a restricted free agent right now.
I don't know that that's going to happen.
Isn't he? He's
he's a free agent.
Yeah, that's why it can't happen.
He's from San Jose. He's a San Jose boy. He can go drive home an hour and a half any day he wants. I'd take the 20% chance that Sacramento can convince him to come just to keep Doncic and Buddy Hield.
Wow.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's a crazy deal. But I would say no and just take the slight gamble that you can get Aaron Gordon because I love Aaron Gordon. I think he'd be a great fit with whoever the Kings get.
Wow, that's crazy. No, you threw me for a curve at the end, Bryant. No, I thought you were agreeing with me. I thought everything you were saying, you were feeding me. I was like, oh, is he going to like this trade? Am I not going to be the only one that agrees that this is the trade to make? And then the last second, you pull a U-turn and say, no. What is going on here?
I like that one the most out of the three
Hold
you've given.
Hold on. You know what? How would I do this? This is the thing that's going to make you say, all right, Vince, I'm in. You ready?
Yep.
The number 35 pick this year also gets thrown in.
The Kings roster doesn't have any more room for second-round players. Honestly,
no, they're going to take Grayson Allen in the second round.
Oh, God. Now you just convinced me not to take the deal. Oh, no, thank you. Like, I honestly think that I think a trade's going to happen on Thursday. I think it's going to be the Kings somehow getting out of having their second-round pick. Just because this team is, I think they've got 13 players right now absolutely locked up for next year.
Yep.
Yeah. So unless they make, some pretty heavy moves to consolidate that talent, I don't think they can. I mean, 35 doesn't do anything unless you're going to then trade up and consolidate talent elsewhere.
Let me ask you this. This is the last alteration I'll make to this trade. If I took out Shumpert and added Zach Randolph, is it a guarantee you take that?
Yeah.
Because then you get on Zebo's contract for 2 years.
Just know that the Kings have to play the young guys, and that they just don't have Dave Yeager's safety net to throw Zach Randolph in there for 24 minutes a game.
I mean, they'll still have Kufis. I believe they have Kufis still. They still have Shumpert. I think they still have Temple. I mean, I think Temple hasn't made a decision yet. Or did he?
Well, Temple and Shumpert both are playing bigger positions of need. Like, if you take, I'm assuming at 6 you'd take Michael Porter. You've got Aaron Gordon in that
or
situation.
Trae Young.
You've got oh no, no.
What about Mo Bamba though? Mo Bamba's a possibility too.
Would you really take Mo Bamba after adding Aaron Gordon and Vucevic when you've already got Willie Cauley-Stein?
No, but I'm just saying.
You haven't traded Scal. Harry Giles is there. I mean, I know Vlade likes centers, but that is a big team.
No, I wouldn't necessarily go for Mo Bamba. Of course, you're taking Michael Porter Jr. What about your boy Mikal Bridges?
At 6?
At 6.
You don't need to sell me on Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges was the light that got this Kings fandom in me through them not tanking. Just the thought of, well, Mikal Bridges is going to be there at 7. It's okay. Everything will work out.
So, here, let me ask you, because I posted on Twitter that I had some trade scenarios for you that I said that we're going to be talking about and that they can listen to it on this show. And people started sending in some trade offers.
Okay.
And I just got and one just popped up right now, and I thought it was I thought it was funny because I don't think this happens at all. There's no way this happens, but I'm gonna ask it to you anyways, and just so we can get a laugh together. Fultz, Sarge, and the number 10 pick for the number 2 pick.
I mean,
is that good enough? I don't think I mean, that's it. I don't think you have a number 2. Is that a fair trade?
You know what? Fultz was number 1 on my board last year.
He was number 1 on everybody's board.
I still have faith that he will figure it out.
He's going to be good.
That is such a positional redundancy with what the Kings already have.
Even on top of that, there's no way that the Sixers are giving up the number 2 or the number 10, Fultz and Sarge, to get a high draft pick. I just don't see that happening. I think they'll offer that package for Kawhi Leonard. Speaking of Kawhi.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kawhi, I have another trade-off for you.
Oh, no.
Are you ready for this one?
Here we go. Hold
on, let me
I think this one's going to be pretty easy.
No, it's not. This one's going to be tough. You don't know what's coming. Hold on. I got to pull this up so I have this correct. So far, how are you liking my fake trades? Are they doing pretty well?
I think the closest one for me has been the Magic one.
Which is crazy.
That one was pretty hard for me to turn down.
Which is pretty crazy because when I posted that on Twitter, I'm not lying to you, I was called so many names that I had people sending me the emojis where like it's Michael Jordan saying, "No, stop it, go get help." I got the ones where it's like, "You're an idiot." Like I got all these things, and I'm so glad I'm not alone in the love for Aaron Gordon. Thank you. Even though you still said no, which is crazy. Yeah. But I involved
Aaron Gordon was the first draft crush I ever got to write about for Sacktown Royalty.
Oh, so there's
I will never stop thinking that he's going to be an amazing player.
All right, we're going for Kawhi now. Bryant, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Willie Cauley-Stein, Bogdanovich. I'm sorry, Bogdan Bogdanovich, the number 2 pick, and Iman Shumpert for Kawhi Leonard. Who says no? That's a package. Because I wrote about this. Greg Popovich's love for Bogdan Bogdanovich is real.
Yep, absolutely is. Sacramento says no to that because there's zero chance that Kawhi Leonard stays next year, and then everybody gets fired.
You risk it to get the biscuit.
No, you don't when you know. I mean, what's the chance that Kawhi Leonard re-signs with this team?
Honest, like if I wanted to like truly believe in myself and give a real answer, I mean, but you're talking to a miracle here, and I believe in that last name, so I'm gonna say there's a 8.5% chance he would resign.
8.5. So you are risking everything on an 8.5% chance. You are risking the number 2 pick. You are risking the best piece that Vlade has acquired for this team from the draft up to this date in Bogdan Bogdanovich.
Look,
you are risking both of those things for an 8.5% chance.
Look, I'll tell it to you like this. This is how I've explained it. This is the only way I can explain it to where it makes sense and people understand. Okay? So do you go to casinos? Do you play card games at all?
Yes.
Okay, so
card games.
There's a game called Baccarat. Do you know it?
No.
Okay, well, there is this game called Easy Buck. It's Baccarat. And the goal of the game is the closest to 9 wins. So go try it out. It's the only 50-50 game in any casino, just so everybody knows. Just to put you on game a little bit about my habits when I'm not doing these podcasts or writing. But anyway, on this game, Easy Buck, there's a bet called a dragon. And on a dragon, that means if you're betting on banker, after 3 cards and it hits 7, that is called a dragon, and it pays 40-1. All right? It's a big payoff. I am betting on the dragon. First off, I'm already throwing my bet out there. I'm getting Kawhi Leonard, so it's not like I'm getting nothing in return. I'm pushing regardless because I get Kawhi Leonard. But if he stays, you are hitting a dragon. You are getting paid 40-1. You are getting arguably the number 5 best player in the league and the number 1 best two-way player in the league right now. You risk it to get the biscuit, in my opinion. There's been no one of name to trade for, in my opinion, where you give up a pick like this that's been on the market and give up these assets like a player like Kawhi Leonard. I'm not saying that that deal gets accepted because of what Boston has to offer. All I'm saying is you offer this deal and you go for Kawhi Leonard. That's my point of this.
I think San Antonio takes that deal in a heartbeat.
Really?
I truly do. I do. Yeah.
Hey.
If they have decided that they cannot reconcile with him, I think that they would absolutely take the number 2 pick and Bogdan, because I mean, unless Boston is going to give up one of their 2 young wings, I mean, I don't know how you beat that.
I also forgot to add that the 18th pick is in this deal. The 18th pick is in this deal. I forgot to add that. I'm just saying. Get Troy Brown. Get Troy Brown out of Oregon. He's not traveling far if he comes here. Get Troy Brown out of Oregon. Bring him to Sacramento with Kawhi Leonard. You have a defense of the 2 and 3 right there.
No. If Kawhi leaves, you are left with De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield,
Troy Brown,
and Harry Giles,
and Scal. Scal wasn't in that deal.
I don't know that I put much in Scal, but you're just back. You're just so far back as a franchise. This team is not positioned like Boston is to gamble with excess pieces for a championship. This team's championship run is at least 3 years away.
So what you're saying is you don't bet Dragon.
No, I don't bet Dragon. I don't think it's an 8.5% chance. I think the chance that Kawhi would stay with this team is 2%.
But what about I'll say this. Players that have come to Sacramento that did not want to come here. The Kings have a history of this.
Yeah.
They tend to fall in love with this dang place. Chris Webber is the first name I thought about. But think about the other ones that they've took these gambles on. Remember Rudy Gay? That guy did. He could have left. Instead, he stayed.
He could have left, but then the only reason he stayed was because Malone.
I mean, true.
And then they fired Malone.
But you never know. Maybe the reason why he stays is because of Dave Yeager.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
The shoe deal thing.
I don't think it's out of the possibility.
The shoe deal thing scares me because I think that's another. He wants to be in that market, and he's not getting the.
He doesn't want to stay. Yeah, he doesn't want to stay with the most legendary coach in NBA history for the Mythos era Spurs. I mean, why would he stay with Sacramento?
Yeah, I mean, just because it. I mean, just because.
See,
it would make
this is amazing.
I
like that we're both disagreeing on pretty much every one of these. Shows how different we'd be as GMs.
But maybe we'd make a great team. You never know. You never know. Okay, here's my last trade. This is my last fake trade, and then we're gonna kind of go more into this top 10 and just kind of give our thoughts on a little bit of these players and like what we can see both fit wise with the current mock draft that I have in front of me. But last trade I have for you. Last fake trade. I think this is an easy one and also a little bit of a fun one because I'm high on this player and nobody else is. Willie Cauley-Stein, Shumpert, and the Kings' second-round pick for Jabari Parker.
What deal does Jabari Parker come over with?
It's a sign-and-trade deal. It has to be.
I know it's a sign-and-trade deal. Like, how much are we talking? We talking 10? Are we talking 12 million a year?
Yeah, we're talking right around 14.
14
to 16 range. That's
the range where I'm going to be comfortable gambling on Parker because a lot like Michael Porter Jr., you're gambling on him actually staying healthy. And that's about the range that I think Parker makes sense, especially if you've taken either Doncic or Bagley, because he fits with Doncic and he doesn't get positionally redundant with Bagley. That's about the range that I would take him. I would rather save my chips and try to go for Aaron Gordon, but I think I would probably make that deal. Yeah, no, absolutely, I would make that deal. You're trading 3 pieces that aren't part of your future for a 50-50 chance on a guy who can be.
I just don't think Milwaukee takes it. I think Milwaukee has the 17th pick.
Nah,
I think
probably
they
not.
would. I think because this trade came from one of my writers who heavily covers the Bucks, and he sent this to me, and it just says second, and I assumed second round because there ain't no way Willie Cauley-Stein and the second round pick for Jabari Parker is a deal I'm doing. So when I said second, I'm thinking just
Wait,
second
you
round
mean
pick.
second overall pick?
Is that no? I'm saying second round pick.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
But when he sent it to me, it just said Willie Cauley-Stein Shumpert in the second, and but it didn't even say the second. It just said second. So I assumed second round because there's no way that the number 2 pick would be on the board. But if it is the second round pick, you're getting Jabari Parker and you're just giving up Willie Cauley-Stein, I'm perfectly okay with it. And that brings me to the last part of this conversation here about trades is I don't believe Willie Cauley-Stein comes back next season. Are you on the same page with me?
I think of the 3 bigs, I would say he's least likely to be on the team next year. And I would rather trade Scal, but I think they probably trade Willie at some point in the next 3 months.
I'm a little bit higher on Scal and a lot lower on Willie. And by what I mean by like higher on Scal is I just think he needs to be tougher. Honestly, like I just feel like he's a good backup power forward. Like I think he can play a key role off the bench and be a good fill-in starter. I don't think Willie is a starter. I think Willie is also a bench guy, and I feel like you can find a ton of Willie Cauley-Steins out there because the fact that Nikola Vucevic, who is not a rim protector, averaged more blocks than you in the season. And and there was just things that Willie Cauley-Stein said last year that I just didn't like, especially after that Minnesota game when he's talking about Karl Anthony Towns and how he's given them all these different looks and I was playing him in such a good game, but then you look at the stat sheet and he had like 40 points. That was it's just and this talk about he wants to be the scoring leader, like the focal point on offense, but he just went backwards defensively. I'm not sold on Willie Cauley-Stein anymore. I was expecting a big bump this year as a starter, getting a big bump in minutes. No DeMarcus Cousins holding him back, and he was a disappointment all season. And so if I had to choose somebody, I'm choosing Willie Cauley-Stein, and I would not expect him to be on the roster. I wouldn't say I'd bet on that, but I would be tempted to.
Yeah, I think the only reason that he would be on the roster is if they're just not getting any value for him. And I think that's possible because I think teams will look and see that they could probably just wait a year if they really want to gamble on him.
What's he worth at this point? Is he worth a first round pick, a late first round pick to you? Because I don't.
No, probably not.
I think he's worth a mid second.
Yeah, but then Sacramento's not going to take a mid second. I think the only thing they would do is if it was a second draft kind of guy like Willie, you're basically just gambling that a young guy who is also on a rookie contract who hasn't been playing well can produce better in your system. I think that's the only thing you're getting for him. I think
Cleveland offers. I think if they want to get a first, I think if they knew LeBron was staying, or just a good team with next year's first round that they know it's going to be low.
Yeah,
that's the only way the Kings are getting a first round for Willie Cauley-Stein. I don't see it any other way.
If a team calls and offers a first round pick for either Willie Cauley-Stein or Scala Bissiere, I'm taking that deal. I don't care what team it is. Well, maybe not Golden State because Golden State with either of those guys would just that would be annoying to watch 4 times a year.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, let's not. I'm just not a fan of Golden State right now. I'm just so tired of predictability. I rooted for every team but Golden State this year, and it's not because I'm a Golden State hater. Like I love what they can do. They're entertaining to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm just tired of the predictability of them.
Yeah, I imagine this is how fans felt in the mid '90s too. It's just it's not fun for 29 fan bases in the league when you know the predictability, but it's just going to make it all the sweeter when one team finally dethrones the dynasty.
I won't keep you too much longer, but just so we can kind of give a feel for like just some of these other teams, because I mean I don't think I do, but I like to believe that I do because like the website that we host from just says we have all these different fans from like Guam and all these different places. They tell me my demographic is like all of these different, like the Philippines because I'm Filipino. Like there's like a few there. So I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but we got people everywhere. So let's try and talk about some of these other teams just for a couple minutes, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
Let's talk about Chicago at number 7. Because all right, now you know what? Let's go with even a little bit more interesting, because I think the number 3 with Atlanta is an obvious pick for who they should choose, because I like what he does there, and Jaren Jackson Jr. But
I completely agree. Completely agree.
The problem is there is a growing suspicion that the Atlanta Hawks are trying to move away from 3 so they can 100% get Trae Young, and that is bothering me, because I think Jaren Jackson Jr. at 3 next to John Collins and Taurean Prince, that is building both sides of the ball.
That is the Collins Jaren Jackson Jr. pairing is foundationally amazing on both ends of the court. And you got a guy who can score. You got a guy who can defend. They're not positionally redundant. Jaren Jackson Jr. can get the guys that Collins can't. Collins can score on a heavier basis. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. That's the ideal pairing for me.
I just don't know. I mean, I get it. Trae Young is entertaining. Here. The only way I see Atlanta getting Trae Young, and I don't think they're gonna do it, but it's a possibility that they try. Is there any team with maybe Memphis, maybe Orlando even at 6, where Orlando won't do this, but they give up Dennis Schroeder, and because they have another pick, the 19th pick for number 6, and maybe next year's, I don't know, first protected top 5. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
Orlando needs a point guard.
I don't know that would Orlando rather have Schroeder, the 19th pick, and a first rounder next year than Trae Young?
I don't know. That's a hard question.
I mean, you put Trae Young and Jaren Jackson Jr. on the same team, you've just covered up half of Trae Young's weakness right there. You've just given him the perfect guy to help complement his defensive inefficiencies.
That roster in Atlanta, if they found a way to get Trae Young next to Taurean Prince, next to John Collins, next to Jaren Jackson Jr., all that, worried about him in a pick and roll and getting beat, that help side from Collins and Jaren Jackson Jr. would be ridiculous. Then if you get switched and you have a Taurean Prince that defensively is amazing, I like that so much for them. Kent Bazemore is a hit or miss for me. Maybe you have to add Kent Bazemore to that deal for Orlando. I don't know what they'd have to do, but I'd like it. That's the only way I can see them doing it, because taking Trae Young at 3 would be ridiculous to me. But as of right now, NBA Draft.net has that, and recently on the Low Post podcast episode with Giovanni, says that Atlanta is considering it. They're not going to do it. He says they'd be surprised if they do it, but the fact that they're considering that is kind of scary.
I don't think Trae Young top 5 is crazy if you are very prepared to add the necessary pieces to cover up his inefficiencies.
Top 3 is crazy, though.
Yeah, I'm not taking Trae Young top 3, but
I take him top 5. I take him top 6.
If I'm top 5, I don't think it's crazy.
I just the teams in the top 5 just doesn't fit it for me. But
yeah,
I think Trae Young's first option is going to be 6 at Orlando, and that's why I think if Atlanta has any chance, it's going to be right there to get him, and then they can also get Jaren Jackson Jr. at 3, which would be nice. Next team, let's just look at Memphis for a second. For me, I think it's Marvin Bagley. I think Marvin Bagley is the right player right there next to Marc Gasol, and I think that's just easy. I think that is the pick. If he's on the board, you take him no matter what. But what about you? Is there anybody else that you think there, like maybe Mo Bamba, maybe a Mikal Bridges?
I think whichever one of Doncic, Porter, and Bagley are still there at 4. All 3 of those guys work fantastically with what the roster already has. I agree with you that Doncic plays best with another primary ball handler. So playing with Mike Conley and Marc Gasol would make that one hell of a passing rotation. Marvin Bagley would certainly benefit from playing next to a smart, defensively solid center like Marc Gasol. And Michael Porter Jr. could be that scorer that tandem needs to get back in the playoffs. So whichever one of those guys is still around for Memphis, I think that's the selection.
Dallas, it's Mo Bamba for me 100%.
I kind of agree with that too. He seems like that. Dallas seems kind of like the team that would take what I consider the bigger risk. And if he hits that ceiling, that Dennis Smith Jr. Mo Bamba pairing would just be deadly.
Oh my goodness, that 1-5 pairing would be so nice.
Yeah, it would.
Because you don't know what Bamba can do. Because of how big he is, size-wise, getting that screen to Dennis Smith Jr. And then the fact that he can knock down a 3-point shot or just drive on you, and all Smith has to do is throw it in the air. And that wingspan, he's going to grab it before even jumping. It's ridiculous. Let's go. 6, Orlando. I'm going to go Trae Young, just easy, just quickly, just because.
I agree with you.
It's nothing really there. 7, I think they're taking Wendell Carter with Chicago.
I think if Porter is there, I think he's their selection. But if he's not there, Wendell Carter makes sense. Miles Bridges makes a lot of sense. Mo Bamba would make so much sense next to Larry Markkinen. That would be a heck of a tangent if Mo Bamba's still there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if Chicago would take Michael Porter Jr. if he's there, just because it doesn't fit well next to Lauri Markkinen. Markkinen showed he was really good.
I think the benefit of adding another floor spacer would outweigh that somewhat. I'm less worried about forward versatility when you get that much shooting in there, but I agree you absolutely have to get a very specific center to compensate for those two on defense.
I think if there's any way that Chicago, or if there's any way Mo Bamba fell to Chicago, they would be ecstatic.
Yeah, I agree.
They would.
I think that's his floor.
Yeah, he's not going past Chicago. I guarantee that. There's no way he's going past 7.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
I think they just take whoever the highest ceiling player is. I don't expect LeBron to stay, so whichever one they think has the highest output, whether that is Trae Young if he's still there, maybe it's Colin Sexton. I don't know. I don't think they would take a guy like Wendell Carter, who I don't think has as high a ceiling as the other guys I just named. Mm-hmm. But I think they just gamble, and you know what? This is a rebuild now. We just need the best talent.
I think Cleveland's trading it. I don't think they're going to pick 8. I think they're going to try and get whatever they can out of this pick, and see whatever they can do because they're so confused on what LeBron's going to do.
Yeah.
That they don't want to make a pick that could not necessarily hurt the team, because I don't think you could necessarily hurt the team with whoever they pick here, whether LeBron stays or not. But they just don't want to get confused. And I think if they can get a solid player, they're going to try and do it. And if there's any way LeBron says what he's going to do before the draft, I think they're going to package it with Kevin Love.
Yeah, if taking a young player at this pick signals that Cleveland knows LeBron is gone. So they may not be willing to make that selection, but they might have to. It might be the best choice for them. It's just to say, you know what? We gave this a run. We failed at the last 2 years.
The Kentucky point guard might be the pick for me, like over Colin Sexton. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The more I watch film on him and the pros and cons out of him, I'm high on him. I get higher and higher.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially in the last month of the season, I went back and watched his SEC tournament run. He's just such a competent player in just so many different ways. He's definitely the most rounded of the 3 guards.
Yeah, I mean, I just clicked on it right here just because, NBA. I don't know if you look at NBA Draft.net, but they tend to do these little player comparisons. I don't agree with all of them, but this one, I mean, the fact that they compared him to DeJounte Murray, if he could be anything like DeJounte Murray, I'm in love with DeJounte Murray. That would be amazing. Number 9, as of right now, they have Michael Porter Jr. there. If Michael Porter Jr. fell to New York, that would be. There's no way he's getting past. There's no way he's getting past Cleveland. There's no way if he's there.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely no way. I mean, I think it can be Kevin Knox. We talked about.
I think we talked about who's going to go these next 2 picks. I think it's the Bridges.
Yeah,
One bridge will go 9, one bridge will go 10.
Do you believe that Charlotte's really looking for another point guard? That they're ready to move on from Kemba Walker?
I think at 11 you start getting in the weeds of, if you're not as confident about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if you're not confident in Kevin Knox like I'm not, I think at 11 that's where you start getting really dicey. And if Colin Sexton is the highest guy on your board, if Trae Young is somehow still there,
he won't be.
Or if you think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player on the board, I mean, that whole team just needs a very patient reset.
Yeah,
and they need to have it with somebody who is going to actually take good players. I can't worry about fit anymore.
At this point, I mean, I think these next three, 11, 12, and 13, with Denver, I don't think Denver's picking 14, so I don't really even want to talk about them. They're a good team. Yeah. They're not picking 14. They're going to find something to do with that pick. They're going to package it for something. I think with Charlotte, the interesting thing about them is they have good players on bad contracts. So, I think Nicholas Batum is a good player, but he's on a terrible contract.
Yeah, and he's old.
But I think they have pieces there. They're I think if you give the 11 Jeremy Lamb, and you have to you try and get rid of one of your bad contracts, which I can't think of one off the top of my head other than Nick Batum, but I know they have other bad ones. What can that get you? Anything into the top 5? If you give up?
No.
No?
I don't
maybe
think
even
so.
the top 7 where you can get Chicago to move down?
Yeah, maybe Chicago. Maybe
Cleveland, 8? They need to get in that top 10. That's the only way I think they
you know what?
it.
If I'm Charlotte, I'm calling Cleveland and I'm saying, hey, I'll give you Kemba for that number 8 and a first rounder next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then who would they pick?
I really think Charlotte just needs to rebuild with the highest young talent they can find.
That's crazy. Do you think LeBron would stay if Kemba was there?
I think he would demand that they get somebody else, but I think that's a nice step.
Who would Charlotte take?
At 8.
If Porter's there,
they might. Oh, if Porter's there. Yeah. Porter makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, next to Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
And Nick Batum.
So Trae Young, that could be a good destination for him, kind of out of the limelight with a.
You just made me interested.
Yeah.
Now I want to see that happen. Now I'm invested into Charlotte. I can't wait to see them on Thursday. Okay, 12-13 Clippers. Any suggestions on what? Do you think they even pick there? Or because I have a feeling they're going to try everything they can to not pick there, and I think they're going to offer everything to these guys, all these teams in the top 10. I don't think they're going to get it. I think they're going to have to pick.
Yeah. If I'm them, it's the same guys we were talking about earlier. I think DeAndre Jordan's gone in free agency, so I'm taking Robert Williams, and then whichever of the point guards is still there. If it's Colin Sexton, if it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Patrick Beverley is a very good veteran point guard, but I'm not putting all of my rebuilding baskets on eggs in the rebuilding basket that is Patrick Beverley.
What about old man Milos, or even the rejuvenated Lou Williams? You take another guard? I'm gonna take a wing. I would find the best wing next to Robert. I'm taking Robert Williams for sure, but then I'm gonna look for a wing if for some reason Mikal Bridges falls out of the top 10 and lands somewhere at 12-13, or Miles will.
You don't have to sell me on that.
I mean, any of those guys. I think they're taking a wing, and I think they're taking a wing because I don't think they trust Danilo anymore, and I think they're taking a center.
Yeah, well, it'll be really interesting to see how much of this prognostication comes true in 70 hours now?
I know, it's exciting.
65 hours. Ugh.
All
Just needs to go by fast.
All right, Bryant, I want to thank you so much for joining the show. You guys go give Bryant West a follow on Twitter. Bryant, what's your Twitter handle?
BSWest5.
BSWest5. Follow him on Twitter. Check out all of his work on SacktownRoyalty.com. Bryant, before I let you go, any final words that you want to say? What should Kings fans expect heading into the draft? What are you doing for draft? Just anything at all that you want to tell these fans?
Well, I think the Kings have narrowed it down to Michael Porter Jr., Marvin Bagley, or Luka Doncic. I think one of those three guys is going to be king come Thursday. And you know what? I'm very high on Luka Doncic. I think he's the clear best player, but any one of those three guys should give this fan base a real jolt of optimism going forward.
I am loving it if they choose. I'm in love with the Kings if they choose DeAndre Ayton or Luka Doncic. I still really like the Kings if they choose Michael Porter Jr. or Jaren Jackson Jr. I am disappointed in the Kings a little bit if they choose Marvin Bagley with their number 2 pick. That's just me being honest. I know a lot of people don't agree with me. I'm okay if any of my fake trades happen, especially.
Oh, you're never gonna stop talking about it if one of those 4 trades happens.
I'm telling you this. Let me tell you this right now. If that trade with Orlando happens, Bryant, you're coming on this podcast, and we're gonna just talk about how smart and how much of a genius I am, and how I should be running the Kings because I just saw the future. It would be amazing.
All right, if they get Aaron Gordon in a trade, I'll buy you an Aaron Gordon jersey. And if they get Aaron Gordon in free agency, you got to buy me an Aaron Gordon jersey.
Done. Done. I'm in. I'm in. And I'll even throw in a Sack Kings Nation shirt, which everyone can go get at sackkingsnation.com. Click on the merch, and all that information is there. This show has been brought to you by BrickHouseIndustries.com, RareInkPrints.com, FanDuel.com. Thank you again, Brian, so much for joining us. Go again, check out all of his work at Sacktown Royalty. Follow him on Twitter at BSWest5. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of at VM Center. Be sure to book SackKingsNation.com for all of your in-depth coverage of the Sacramento Kings. Later this week on Wednesday, I will have another special guest joining this show to give a mock draft. You guys know him. It's Cole Zwicker of the Stipend. We're going to go 14-1. How will this draft play out? We're going to see how good our predictions are, so tune in for that later this week. You guys can listen to us every single Monday on Dash Radio. Subscribe, leave a rating, and until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, bye-bye.